Hey, man. Welcome back. Welcome back to the road trip. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Shalom, man. Shalom, peace, and blessings. That's right. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a stretch. There's been some projects under the way right now that the Mishpachah, the nation, is working on right now. I'm not going to disclose it. That is not my right to do so. Just know that the Most High, Abba Yahweh, through Yahweh Shai, who is his word, right? Who is the word of the Father, is using the Ruach of the Father to do some really righteous works right now in the nation. All praises to the Most High. And Shalom. Welcome back to the channel. Mishpachah, Kingdom Builders, Road Trippers, Akeem and Akatim, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, aunties and uncles, grandmas, grandpas, everybody in the house, man. Everybody in the damn house, man. Welcome back to the road trip, in-laws. All right? So, a little bit of an absence, but it's for good reason. Just pray. Just pray and beseech that the Most High is going to bless his righteous sons and daughters to do the works that he needs to be done in order to get the things accomplished that he's already prophesied. Let's make this easy, Mishpachah. Let's make this easy, brothers and sisters. All right? Shalom. And shalom, peace and blessings to your homes, your dwelling places, right? Your living spots, man, where you stay at, your homes, your dwellings. Your loved ones, your friends, your children, of course, and those pets, man. Those little fur babies, little fur nagas. That's right, man. All praise to the Most High. And we pray and we beseech that each and every single one of you have been having, the week that you deserve. Let me just put it like that. I beseech that you had the week that you deserve. Whether that be for the glory of the Most High, Abba Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, right? Or whether you're backsliding and you're getting your head knocked out, right? It's all for glory, for righteous learning, right? So all praises to the Most High. We're back. So what are we doing tonight, man? What are we doing? Well, got the incense lit tonight. It smells great. Burning a little bit of frankincense on the altar of incense. Right? We're back here in the works of Flavius Josephus, the Antiquities of the Yahudim, or the Jewish Antiquities, air quotes, the Judite Antiquities, Yahudim. Right? And we're going to be here in chapter number 6. This is book number 6, chapter 6, if you want to follow along with us. How the Philistines made another expedition against the Hebrews and were beaten. How they got that whoop, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to read that. And there's some notes at the end. Oh, yeah, there's some notes at the end. Oh, yeah. There's a whole page of notes at the end. So we're going to go ahead and run through this. I hope that I have your ear. And just for a little while, right? Give me about 35 minutes. Is that okay with you? If it runs a little longer, then hey. Yeah, we're called to judge each other, man, but you know what I'm saying. Be light on my head, man. Come on, man. And I just want to say something before we get into this, all right? Have y'all started to notice the lighthearted nature when we start talking to one another, right? The love and how it's so easy to look one of each other in the eye and be like, man, I love you, bruh. I love you, sis. And it's real, and you can actually feel it. Isn't that amazing? All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Abba Yahweh, man. Bahashem Yahweh Shai, right? Through Yahweh Shai, comes the glory, these praises, man. This energy that you cannot duplicate this, bruv. Right? You can't make this up, man. Comes through the Father, through the Son, to us. And through us, we're going to give this to the nations we are going to priest and king. We're going to king over these people, boy. You ready for this? Are you ready? But in the meantime, in between time, you're getting ready to read chapter 6 with me. How the Philistines made another expedition against the Hebrews and were beaten, all right? So if you have these scrolls available to you, all praise to the Most High. If not, then, oh, man, just sit back and just, let me read this, all right? No further ado, ladies and gentlemen, fellas in the back, I got to tell y'all almost every single read. You know we're about to start reading these scrolls. Have a seat, please, gentlemen. All praises to the Most High. No further ado, chapter 6, let's begin. Yo. All right, Mishpachah. Chapter 6, Section 1, and it reads, Now Saul, or Saul, chose out of the multitude about 3,000 men, and he took 2,000 of them to be the guards of his own body, and abode in the city Bethel. But he gave the rest of them to Jonathan his son, to be the guards of his body, and sent them to Gibeah. Remember Gibeah? Where he besieged and took a certain garrison of the Philistines, not far from Gilgal. For the Philistines of Gibeah had beaten the Jews, the Yahudim, right? The Judites. Doesn't matter what you want to call them. They call them the Jews. But you know what I'm talking about. Our people, Judah. And taken their weapons away, and had put garrisons into the strongest places of the country, and had forbidden them to carry any instrument of iron, or at all to make any use of iron in case whatever, right? They don't want them to ever be armed. You can't even have something of iron on you, man. Not even a staff, boy. And on account of this prohibition, it was that the husbandmen, if they had occasion to sharpen any of their tools, whether it were the plowshares or the spade or any instrument of husbandry, they came to the Philistines to do it. Now, as soon as the Philistines heard of the slaughter of the garrison, they were in a rage about it, and looking on the contempt of its terrible affront offered them, and made war against the Yahudim, the Jews, the Judites, man. What? Us, man. With 300,000 footmen and 30,000 chariots and 6,000 cavalry, and they pitched their camp at the city of Michmash. When Saul, the king of the Hebrews, was informed of this, he went down to the city of Gilgal and made proclamation over all the country that they should try to retain their liberty, and call them to the war against the Philistines, diminishing their forces and despising them as not very considerable and as not so great, but they might hazard a battle with them. But when the people about Saul observed how numerous the Philistines were, they were under a great alarm, and some of them hid themselves in caves and in dens underground. But the greater part fled into the land beyond Jordan, which belonged to Gad and Reuben, right? They thought they were running into safety. Man, you running into the other parts of our tribes, boy. But you got to remember, that's the end of section 1, by the way. But you got to remember, at certain times throughout history, the northern tribes and the southern tribes, they were not messing with each other, bruv. Yeah, you're the same bloodline. You're all Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, but doesn't mean that you are messing with one another. And like in the new terms, with these young people say, what? I ain't effing with you, bruv. Right? And these were family members, man. Let's continue to read some more of this, right? That was the end of section 1. Let's go. Are you ready with me? Let's continue and switch the angle of this camera. Let's do that, man. All right, let's go. All right, Mishpachah, section 2, and it reads, But Saul sent to the prophet and called him to consult with him about the war and the public affairs. So he commanded him to stay there for him. And he prepared sacrifices, for he would come to him within 7 days, that they might offer sacrifices on the 7th day, and might then join battle with their enemies. So he waited, as the prophet sent to him to do. Yet did not he, however, observe the command that was given him. But when he saw that the prophet waited longer than he expected, he that was deserted by the soldiers, he took the sacrifices and offered them. Uncalled for, unsanctioned, red flag, red flag, red flag. Red flag, yellow flag on the field, man. Somebody get this naga. Let's read. Let's continue. And when he heard that Samuel was come, he went out to meet him. But the prophet said he had not done well in disobeying the injunctions that he had said to him, and had not stayed until his coming. He was not patient, boy, which being appointed according to the will of the Most High Yahweh, he had prevented him in offering up those prayers and those sacrifices that he should have made for the multitude, the people, and that he therefore had performed divine offices in an ill manner, and had been rash in performing them. But Saul made an apology for himself, and said that he had waited as many days as Samuel had appointed him. And he had been so quick in offering his sacrifices upon account of the necessity he was in, and because his soldiers were departing from him out of their fear of the enemy's camp at Michmash. So he's scared, man. Not because he had faith. He didn't walk on faith. I'm interjecting. When you have the most fear, that's when you need to lean on the things that you were taught, Nico. Unwavering faith. You can't turn away from what's been told to you. It doesn't matter if it looks bleak. You gotta hold on. And if it's for you to walk in your lot and you perish, well, you stay true to the end then. You don't waver and make your own decisions. That's not Kodesh. That's not Yasharel. That's not Israel. That's not Jacob. That's not Isaac. That's not Abraham. That's not our people. That's not our bloodline. You stay true to the end. You understand? Those who endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Let's continue reading. The report being gone abroad that they were coming down upon him to Gilgal, to which Samuel replied, Nay, certainly, if you had been a righteous man, and had not disobeyed me, nor slighted the commands which the Most High Yahweh suggested to me concerning the present state of affairs, and had not acted more hastily than the present circumstances required, you have permitted to reign a long time in your posterity after you, right? So Samuel, being grieved at what had happened, returned home. But Saul came to the city, Gibeah, with his son Jonathan, having only 600 men with him. And of these, the greater part had no weapons because of the secrecy, right? The scarcity. At this time, man, these weapons have been stripped, remember? You didn't sharpen a single piece of iron unless you went through the Philistines. Are you paying attention to me? Let's continue reading. Checkpoint. So the scarcity of iron in that country, as well as of those that could make such weapons. For as we showed a little before, the Philistines had not suffered them to have such iron or such workmen. I told you that. Now, the Philistines divided their army into 3 companies and took as many roads and laid waste the country of the Hebrews, the Israelites, my boy. While King Saul and his son Jonathan saw what was done, but were not able to defend the land, having no more than 600 men with them. But as he and his son and Ahijah, the high priest, who was of the posterity of Eli, the high priest, were sitting upon a pretty high hill and seeing the land laid waste, they were mightily disturbed at it. Can you imagine that? Does that not break you into tears sometimes? Putting yourself into the place of our forefathers and imagining? Let's continue reading. Now Saul's son agreed with his armor bearer that they would go privately to the enemy's camp and make a tumult and a disturbance among them. And when the armor bearer had readily promised to follow him wherever he should lead him, though he should be obliged to die in the attempt. Hey man, if we're gonna die, man, let's go, boy. We're gonna come back in the Most High. Regeneration's real. Ecclesiastes 1:9. Right? Let's continue reading. And Jonathan made use of the young man's assistance and descended from the hill and went to their enemies. Now the enemy's camp was upon a precipice. There's a great cliff, man, which had 3 tops that ended in a small but sharp and long extremity, while there was a rock that surrounded them, like lines made to prevent the attacks of the enemy. There it so happened that the sentries of the camp were neglected because of the security that here arose from the situation of the place, and because they thought it altogether impossible not only to ascend up to the camp on that quarter, but so much as to come near it. It almost seemed impossible, but nothing's impossible to the sons and daughters of Yahweh. You understand? Let's continue reading. Let's go, man. As soon, therefore, as they came to the camp, Jonathan encouraged his armor bearer and said to him, let us attack our enemies, and if, when they see us, they direct us, come up to them. Take that for a signal of victory. For if they say nothing as not intending to invite us to come up, let us return back again. So let us go back and get our armies and let's smoke them, boy. Then he says, so when they were approaching to the enemy's camp just after daybreak, the break of day, and the Philistines saw them, they said one to another, the Hebrews come out of the dens of the caves. And they said to Jonathan and to his armor bearer, come on, ascend up to us, that we may inflict a great punishment upon you for your rash attempt upon us. So Saul's son attempted of that invitation. He said, all right, man, bet. I'm going to call your challenge then, Naka. I'm coming up, right? Because these Hamites, boy, they're nothing when it comes down to a Shemite, especially a son of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, all right? Let's see what it says, as what signified to him victory. And he immediately came out of the place, and thus they were seen by their enemies. So he changed his place and came to the rock, which had none to guard it, because of its own strength. From there he crept up with great labor and difficulty. Oh, he was climbing these rocks. He's climbing these strong rocks. Can you imagine that? With the wind on his back. And if he fell, that was certain death. He was climbing these rocks, boy, probably like 1,000 feet up. And so far overcame by force the nature of the place until they were able to fight with their enemies. So they fell upon them as they were asleep and killed about 20 of them. And thereby filled them with disorder and surprise, and so much. They didn't expect them to come up from the cliffs. They climbed from the cliffs. Are you paying attention, boy? Listen to the scripts. Let's continue. That some of them threw away their entire armor and fled. But the greatest part, not knowing one another because they were of different nations, suspected one another to be enemies. So they were in disillusion. They were confounded. For they did not imagine there were only 2 of the Hebrews, only 2 Hebrews who came up here and started this, that came up And so they fought one against another because they thought that each other were traitors. And some of them died in the battle, and some, as they were flying away, were thrown down from the rock headlong. That's the end of section 2, by the way. Man, let me paint a picture for you real quick before we continue. So you got 2 Hebrews who climb up a rock cliff. Steep rock cliff. And no one can climb up this cliff. It's a precipice. If you lose your grip, there's no ropes, there's no ladders. If you lose your grip, you're going to fall probably hundreds or thousands of feet to your doom, to your death. You're going to die. So we don't have to worry about the Hebrews coming from this side. We need to watch the other end. But no, there were 2 Hebrews that climbed up that rock face. They climbed up that rock face quietly in the secret of night. And guess what happened? They snuck the camp, killed 20 men, hid quietly in the bushels, and then everybody's in panic like, who's killing us? They thought that each other were to be the traitors, and they all started slaying each other who they didn't trust. And the Most High put confusion and made them confounded with one another. You see how this works? Supernatural, man. For those men to climb hundreds of feet and keep their grip on that rock, nothing but the Most High. Let's continue to read some more. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Honors to the Ruach HaKodesh. My love and my respect goes out to each and every single one of you road trippers, kingdom builders. Let's keep it pushing. Let's go. Okay, section 3, and it reads, Now Saul's watchman told the king that the camp of the Philistines was in confusion, and he inquired whether anybody was gone away from the army. And when he heard that his son and with him his armor-bearer were absent, he directed his high priest, take the garments of his high priestlyhood, and prophesy to him what success they should have, who said that they should get the victory and prevail against their enemies. So he went out after the Philistines and set upon them as they were slaying one another. Those also who had fled to dens and caves upon hearing that Saul was gaining a victory came running to him. When therefore the number of the Hebrews that came to Saul amounted to 10,000, he pursued the enemy, who were scattered all over the country. But then he fell into an action, which was a very unhappy one, and liable to be very much blamed for, whether out of ignorance or whether out of joy for a victory gained so strangely. For it frequently happened that persons so fortunate and are not then able to use their reason consistently, right? So he was punch drunk out of victory, right? He was high on the wind. Let's continue. As he was desirous to avenge himself and to exact a due punishment of the Philistines, he pronounced a curse upon the Hebrews, right? That if anyone put a stop to his slaughter of the enemy and fell on eating, and left off the slaughter or the pursuit before the night came on, and obliged them so to do, he should be accursed. Now after Saul had pronounced this curse, since they were now in a wood belonging to the tribe of Ephraim, right, northern tribe, the head of the northern tribe, by the way, not just spoken lightly, the head of the northern tribe, Ephraim, which was thick and full of bees. Saul's son, who did not hear his father pronounce that curse, nor hear of the approval the multitude gave to it, broke off a piece of the honeycomb and ate part of it. But in the meantime, he was informed with what a curse his father had forbidden them to taste anything before sunset. So he left off eating and said his father had not done well in his prohibition, because had they taken some food, they had pursued the enemy with greater vigor and speed, and had both taken and killed many more of their enemies. That's the end of section 3. That's son against father. Oh boy, there's gonna be some problems. Let's switch the view on this one too. Let's get some more of this. So let's continue. So we're back in chapter 6, book 6, section 4, and it reads, When, therefore, they had killed many 10,000s of the Philistines, they fell upon spoiling the camp of the Philistines, but not until late in the evening, as they were told, right? Because sun said they were not to go into the camps. You had to be obedient. They also took a great deal of spoils and cattle and killed them and ate them with their blood. Eating blood is not good. Foreshadowing. That's disobedience. Pay attention. This was told to the king by the scribes, that the multitude were sinning against the Most High Yahweh, as they sacrificed and were eating before the blood was well washed away and the flesh was made clean. Then did Saul give order that a great stone should be rolled into the midst of them, and he made a proclamation that they should kill their sacrifices upon it, and not feed upon the flesh with the blood, for that was not acceptable to the Most High. We read about this. And when all the people did as the king commanded them, Saul erected an altar there and offered burnt offerings upon it to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This was the first altar that Saul built. That's the end of section 4. Let's continue reading, Mishpachah. I love you, man. I love you. Let's get some more of this. Section 5, and there's only a couple more sections before we get these notes. I'm going to get you out to here pretty quick, all right? So, section 5, and it reads, So when Saul was desirous of leading his men to the enemy's camp before it was day in order to plunder it, and when the soldiers were not unwilling to follow him, but indeed showed great readiness to do as he commanded them, the king called Ahitub, the high priest, and directed him to know of the Most High whether he would grant them the favor and permission to go against the enemy's camp in order to destroy those that were in it. And when the priest said that the Most High did not give an answer, Saul replied, and not without some cause does the Most High Yahweh refuse to answer what we inquire of him. While yet a little while ago he declared to us all that we desired beforehand, and even prevented us in his answer. To be sure, there is some sin against him that is concealed from us, which is the occasion of his silence. Now I swear by him myself and himself, that though he that has committed this sin should prove to be my own son Jonathan, I will slay him, and by that means will appease the anger of the Most High Yahweh against us, and that in that very same manner as if I were to punish a stranger, and one not at all related to me, for the same offense. So when the multitude cried out to him so to do, he presently set all the rest on one side, and he and his son stood on the other side. And he sought to discover the offender by lot. No, they're casting lots, man. The Urim and the Thummim, man. They're pulling out the stones, boy. Get them Levitical priests out here, man. Cast some lots. Now, the lot appeared to fall upon Jonathan himself. So when he was asked by his father what sin he had been guilty of, and what he was conscious of in the course of his life that might be esteemed instances of guilt or profaneness, he answered was this: O Father, I have done nothing more than yesterday without knowing of the curse and oath you had pronounced. While I was in pursuit of the enemy, I tasted of the honeycomb. But Saul swore that he would slay him that preferred to observe his oath before all the ties of birth and of nature. And Jonathan was not dismayed at this threatening of death, but offering himself to do it generously and undauntedly, he said. Nor do I desire you, Father, to spare me. Don't spare me, Pop. Death will be to me very acceptable, and it proceeds from your piety, and after a glorious victory, for it is the greatest consolation to me that I have the Hebrews victorious over the Philistines. But all the people were very sorry and greatly afflicted for Jonathan, and they swore that they would not overlook Jonathan and see him die, who was the author of their victory, by which means they snatched him out of the danger he was in from his father's curse. While they made their prayers to the Most High Yahweh also for this young man, that he would remit his sins. That's the end of section 5. Let's get one more section and get these notes to the door. All right? Cool. All right, let's get this, man. Section 6, and it reads, So Saul, having killed about 60,000 of the enemy, returned home to his own city and reigned happily. And he also fought against the neighboring nations and subdued the Ammonites and Moabites and Philistines and Edomites and Amalekites and also the kings of Zobah. And he had 3 male children, Jonathan and Ishvi and Malachi Shaul, right, and Merab and Michal his daughters, and had also Abner his uncle's son for a captain of his host. That uncle's name was Ner. Now Ner and Kish and father of Saul were brothers. Saul had also a great many chariots and horsemen, and against whomever he made war, he returned conqueror. He always was whooping tail, boy. He's getting that ass, boy. You getting spanked, knuckle. He goes out to war, you getting smoked, boy. You better not be on the menu. Let's continue reading. And advanced the affairs of the Hebrews to a great degree of success and prosperity, and made them superior to other nations. And he made such of the young men as were remarkable for tallness and comeliness and guards of his body. Man, he had the best of Nagas, man. Now, I'm not going into details. You read it for yourself. But just say he said he had the best of the ones, man. Of all the best Nagas, well, bro had the best ones, okay? All right, let's go ahead and read the notes and get out of here, man. All right. Book number 6, chapter 6, notes. And it reads, point number 1. Saul seemed to have stayed until near the time of the evening sacrifice on the 7th day, which Samuel, the prophet of the Most High Yahweh, had appointed him, but not until the end of that day, as he ought to have done. And Samuel appears by delaying to come to the full time of the evening sacrifice on the 7th day to have tried him, who seems to have been already for some time declining from his strict and bounden subordination to the Most High Yahweh and his prophet, to have taken lifeguards for himself and his son, which was entirely a new thing in Israel, right, in Yasharallah, and suggested a distrust of the Most High's providence, and to have shown more than he ought that independent authority which the pagan kings took to themselves. Samuel, I say, seems to have here tried Saul, whether he would stay until the priest came, who alone could lawfully offer the sacrifice, nor would boldly and profanely usurp the priest's office, which he venturing upon was justly rejected for his profaneness. See Apostolical Constitutions, book number 2, chapter 27, Naka. And indeed, since Saul had accepted kingly power, which naturally becomes ungovernable and tyrannical, as the Most High Yahweh foretold. He told him, he said, they're going to take your sons, they're going to take your daughters. He told him, man. Am I wrong? No. Go back and read it. We've already read it. And the Most High reads, and it continues to read. And the experience of all ages has shown the divine settlement by Moshe had soon been laid aside under the kings, had not the Most High Yahweh, by keeping strictly to his laws and severely executing the threatenings therein contained, restrained Saul and other kings in some degree of obedience to himself, nor was even the severity sufficient to restrain most of the future kings of Yasharallah, Israel, and Judah, Yahudah, the Yahudim, from the grossest idolatry and impiety, of the advantage of which strictness in the observing divine laws and inflicting the threatened penalties. See Antiquities, what is that? 6, 12, and 7. And against Apion 2:30, where Josephus speaks of the matter. Though it must be noted that it seems, at least in 3 instances, that good men did not always immediately approve of such divine severity. There seems to be one instance in 1 Samuel 6:19 through 20, another 1 Samuel 15 and 11, and a third 2 Samuel 6:8 through 9, Antiquities 6:7 and 2, though they all at last acquiesced in the divine conduct, as knowing that the Most High Yahweh is wiser than men. Hallelujah, Selah. We have another one to read. That's the end of point number 1. Okay? Point number 2. Because we know that Yahweh is wiser than man. And, the fear of the Most High is the whole duty of man. That's the beginning of wisdom, man. All right? Point number 2, and it reads, by this answer of Samuel, right? Samuel. And that from a divine commission, which is fuller in 1 Samuel 13 and 14, and by that parallel note in the apostolical constitutions just now quoted concerning the great wickedness of Saul in venturing, even under a seemingly necessity of affairs, to usurp the priest's office and offer sacrifice without the priest. We are in some degree able to answer that question, which I have ever thought a very odd one. Whether if there were a city or country of lay Christians without any clergymen, it would be lawful for the laity alone to baptize or celebrate the Eucharist, or indeed whether they alone could ordain themselves either bishops, priests, or deacons for the due performance of such sacerdotal missionaries, right? Ministrations, or whether they ought not rather, until they procure clergymen to come among them, to confine themselves within those bonds of piety and Christianity. Look, he's telling you right here, piety and Christianity. You wicked Christians, you wicked clergy church, you are the seed of Satan, man, which belong along to the laity, should particularly as are recommended in the first book of the apostolical constitutions, which particularly concern the laity and are intimidated on Clement's undoubted epistle, section 40, to the latter opinion. First incline, Christians are wicked. And that's what, man, all the scrolls are telling you straight up. That's the end of point number 2, man. I'm not going to keep battling this out with y'all, man. Christians are wicked, man. They're pagans, bro. Christians are pagan. Alright, so it's all good, man. You Roman Christian, I'm not worried about you. I'm going to finish this up right here, alright? Point number 3, and it reads, the rash vow or curse of Saul, which Josephus says was confirmed by the people and yet not executed, I suppose, mainly because Jonathan did not know of it, is very remarkable. It's very kind of crazy, it being of the essence of the obligation of all laws, that they be sufficiently known and promulgated. Otherwise, the conduct of providence as to the sacredness of the solemn oaths and vows in the Most High Yahweh was refusing to answer by Urim, right? The Urim and the Thummim. They're reading seeing stones, man. They call them the Palantir stones. Oh, man. And providence as to the sacredness of the solemn oaths and the vows in the Most High Yahweh was refusing to answer by Urim until this breach of Saul's his vow or curse was understood and set right, and the Most High Yahweh propitiated be propitiated by public prayer is here. Very remarkable. And indeed, it is everywhere else in the Old Testament. The Urim and the Thummim. That's the end of point number 3, man. See? And that was held inside the pouches of the ephod of the high priest. The Levitical priesthood, man. Family, boy. All right, last point, Mishpachah. Forward to the door, all right? Here we have still more indications of Saul's taking on of despotic power, and of his encroaching upon the priesthood and making and trying to execute a rash vow or curse without consulting Samuel or the Sanhedrin. In this view, it is also that I look upon the erection of a new altar by Saul and his offering of burnt sacrifices and offerings upon it, and not as any proper instance of devotion or religion, with other commentators. And that's the end of chapter 6, book 6. All right, and all the notes. All right, cool. I love you. So that's the end of this one, Mishpachah. Road Trippers, Kingdom Builders, all praises to the Most High. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Hallelujah, Yahweh. All right, so we're going to get back on the next one. It's going to be chapter 7, Saul's war with the Amalekites and conquest of them. All right. So thank you for being here. The Wada. All praises to the Most High. Baruch Hashem to you, your family, your loved ones, everyone that comes around you. All the things that you need so much in your life, Mishpachah. I beseech that you have it all, especially in these times. Smile and look up. Look up, for there your redemption is it's drawing nigh, man. It's drawing so nigh. So nigh. So look up high. Keep that chin up, man. And it's very road trip appropriate that, as you travel up and down the roads, to and fro, here and there, please stay safe, especially if you got those little kitties in the car, man. All praises to the Most High. Shalom. Mishpachah, Akim and Akatzim. I'll see you all on the next one, Yahweh willing. All praises to the Most High. I love you all. I'll see you soon. Yo. Yo.